It's a great Monday. We're excited, obviously, about the win from Saturday in a hard-fought, really good football game against a really good opponent. Going back and looking at the film, I know we really struggled that first half, and the biggest issue we had in the first half was we just couldn't get on schedule and win on first down, and we were in too many 2nd and 8s and 9s, which led to some 3rd and longs. In the second half, I thought we did a really nice job offensively. We ended up with 400-plus yards of total offense, but still had a hard time overcoming the penalties, so we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit there. But I thought we continued to grow a little bit offensively, and I'm excited about moving forward with some of these young guys that played an awful lot. Defensively, I thought we had a really good performance, held them to 240 yards. I think the biggest concern we had on defense was what we talk about as losing the cup, and they had 3 runs that accounted for 109 yards, which you just can't have happen to you against a team like that capitalizes on those big plays. So we're going to learn from those mistakes. We're going to talk to the guys this afternoon. We'll see them for the first time at 4:30, and kind of move forward. We'll do a lot of NDSU versus NDSU this week and sprinkle in some Eastern Washington. So I know the big question everybody wants to talk about is Nick, and so I'll address that right away. And Nick DeLuca did dislocate his shoulder. They were able to put it right back in, which was good, but then they obviously won't let you play after that happens. And our hope and Nick's hope is that over the next 2 weeks it calms down, tightens up, and he can play. And that's kind of where we're at. He won't practice this week, and we're hoping to have him practice next week and in hopes to play against Eastern Washington, and we'll kind of play it out from there. So I'll take any questions.
Coach, you mentioned they blitzed pretty heavily earlier. What do you think of Colin Connor's play overall, and then how do you think he settled in, especially in the second half?
He played really physical. I was impressed with Colin. He had one poor play, we thought, where he gave up an outside rush, but for the most part, I thought Colin did a really nice job. We were able to get good movement on the point of attack. I thought they did a really good job. Their linebackers of, when we'd pull our guard or pull our fullback around, of kind of cutting their legs out and what we would say is spill or cut the cutter and create a pile. But I thought Colin played really well.
It's got to be pretty encouraging news about Nick, knowing that he was, came out of that game, so it's got to be pretty encouraging.
It's encouraging right now, but we'll see how it progresses over the next 2 weeks, and or if it's 3 weeks, But we'll kind of just evaluate him on a week-to-week basis.
The play of the interior offensive line with Austin out.
We're going to continue to improve. I didn't think it was as poor as maybe what we thought from original looking at it. And I know the second half I thought it was pretty good. We still had over 400 and some yards of total offense. That's a pretty good output there.
With Nick being hurt, how impressed were you looking at the tape of Plank's play that on Saturday night to step in?
Yeah, I was really encouraged with Matt, and expected it from Matt simply because he's been in the program. This is his 4th year. He knows the defense inside and out, and once he settled in, I thought he played really well and made some critical plays down the stretch. He knows our defense so well, so he's able to get people lined up, and I thought once he settled in, he played exceptional football, and he'll get all the reps with the ones this week, and then we'll reevaluate it in another week.
Learn from what you did last year from the bye week with Montana into Weber State for implementing for this upcoming week?
Yeah, we'll probably do a little bit more this week than we did last year, simply because we cut back late last week, and we need to get some really good work done. We're going to go tonight, so we'll practice tonight, and then we'll put pads on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for sure, and have some really good work. But we have to make sure. There's some guys that probably aren't going to practice for a couple days that are still nicked up, but we have a lot of work to do against each other, and I would say specifically, we're going to go some really good one-on-one wide receiver DB stuff and pass rush things this week.
Injury news besides Nick DeLuca? Matt Plank was kind of favoring an arm there.
Yeah, he had an x-ray and that came back negative. King turned an ankle, and he'll be probably out a couple of days, but that happened early on, and he was able to finish the game. It ended up being pretty sore afterwards, but Aaron Steidel tweaked the knee, but we think he'll be okay. I don't think anybody would be in jeopardy of missing the next one.
envision spending more time this week, extra prep time with your nickel package, or looking at some of those things just because of your next opponent?
Yeah, we will. We'll need to, whether that is a nickel package or sliding Pierre out and keeping Pierre in the game with some other combinations, and that's why we need to look at that. We need to look at different ways to rush the. It's just a different game plan for us. Different ways to rush the passer. Getting some of those young guys. I think Cole Karch and Derek Tuska have a role this week where they probably didn't as much against the option. So we have a lot of things that we're going to look at this week.
Easton was noticeably upset with his performance after the game in the press conference. Is there? How do you approach him? How do you? I mean, his given personality, who he is. How do you approach him this week about moving forward?
He's a perfectionist. There's no question. And he was disappointed in a couple of throws he made, but he threw 2 absolute dimes on deep balls that were as good a throw as I've seen here. And the one he threw to Shep, and Shep was being pulled and tugged and stuff, and he dropped it in there. And then RJ, he just hit in stride. And the RJ one, I thought was phenomenal play because it was 3rd and 3, and we had something else dialed up, and he changed the play and said, I'm taking a shot, and made a great call and made a great throw and capitalized. So I'm looking forward to Easton, maybe settling down, and but he's just hard on himself. That's just the way the kid is. But he'll continue to improve this week. We'll challenge him and put him in some good situations with against our first defense, and so he stays sharp.
What were your impressions of? What were your impressions of Jalen at corner there?
I thought they did a nice job for their first game. A couple of plays where we lost the cup on the run, they need to be able to keep the ball back inside. I think when Jalen Winbush's technique was really good in man coverage, he was good. When he suffered a little bit in technique, he had a pass interference and stuff. But I was pleased with Jalen Allison on the big interception, coming back after a pass interference that he was called on. So those guys are going to make mistakes, and in our defense, your corner is going to be on an island some, and in an option offense, they're going to be on an island quite a bit. And so I was pleased at how well those guys continued to progress as the game went on. I think their best football is still in front of them.
What was the explanation you're giving on the interference sideline, or what was that?
It really wasn't on the penalty on the sideline. Yeah, the official said he ran into somebody, and it was Coach Riley that he thought he ran into on the sideline. And Connor said, Coach, I brushed him, and I can't believe it doesn't happen more, really, in the Fargo Dome with as many people as we have on our sideline and as tight as it is. But from what I understand, automatically it's 15 yards now. There are no warnings anymore, and they can throw it at any time. Unfortunately, through the TV copy or through our copy, you couldn't see anything.
Is that a new rule? The change without the warning now?
I have to get some clarification on that.
Coach, what's your middle linebacker situation after blank?
Well, we would move some guys around, meaning we would put either Dan Marlette inside. We would look at putting MJ Stump inside. We'd look at putting Pierre inside. We have some guys that have played an awful lot, so it's just a matter of moving those pieces around, something that we'll look at this week and giving one, if not a couple of those guys, some looks in there.
Can you talk about your running back play? I know it was tough sledding for those guys going through there, but were you pleased overall with what you saw?
Yeah, I really was. We played everybody. I think everybody at least had 15 to 20 snaps, and some guys had 25 to 30. I know Chase had 35 plus snaps because he played some fullback as well. We have to continue to find ways to spread the ball out a little bit more. It was tough sledding in there. I thought Lance Dunn ran really hard. I thought Bruce ran really well. Chase didn't have as many opportunities, mainly because we were playing him a little bit more at fullback, and King made the big play. So, I thought we did a nice job. I think moving forward, we have to continue to get more out of that position as well.
Punter averaged 32 yards a kick. Is there anything?
Yeah, I don't think Jackson punted to his capabilities of what we have seen, and we'll work this week and let's see if he responds similar to anybody else that's had their first game in the Fargo Dome. But during the week of practice, he punted really well, and we'll address that and keep moving him forward.
Who would be Jackson's competition for the punters?
Garrett Wagner or Cam Peterson. Cam could maybe punt, and Garrett's a young man that just joined our program.
FCS kickoff games, last 2 years, you've had some really tough games to open things up. Montana ended up being a playoff team. You played a top 10 opponent this week. What's kind of your evaluation of this experience? You're kind of done with him for a little bit. What's that like?
Well, for starters, it's great for FCS football, and the matchups have been dynamite, and everybody's wanting to see that at this level, that people are playing each other and getting the top 10 matchups. And that's, make no mistake, they're a top 5, top 8 team in the country. And after seeing them on film all summer and then seeing them in person, that's as good of a defense as I've seen coming to the Fargo Dome. It really is. I mean, you can put them up there against with the Northern Iowas. They were athletic. They were physical. They had a great scheme against us, really well coached. I like the FCS Kickoff Classic. I'm glad that we're not going to play in it next year, simply because it's a grind when you come in July, and especially with the seasons that have gone on as long as ours have. It's just that's a lot of football for these guys. But I think they're great for FCS.
Is it too early to watch what everybody else is doing this weekend? South Dakota State with TCU, Northern Iowa with Iowa State. Will you keep an eye on that at all?
We will keep an eye on it because it's a Saturday. We're not playing football, so it's kind of, just like everybody was watching us, saying, boy, I'm glad I'm not them this weekend. It's our first Saturday, and probably it will be our only Saturday for sure, where we won't be doing something football-wise. The guys will have Saturday off, and hopefully they'll be able to get home or relax and watch them. But I think there's some great matchups, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Is Eric Bachmeyer that 5th defensive back against a spread team, or is that kind of still up in the air?
Yeah, I think Eric would be that 5th defensive back, and it just didn't. Last week that game wasn't a 5th defensive back game, where this week it will be. So how much is that? 15 snaps? Is that 45 snaps? I don't know until we see Eastern Washington. We see a lot of 2 tight end sets that they played last year. Is that going to be the same thing? If it is, then it's not. If they're going to be 4 and 5 wide receivers like they were some of the season, then it will be. So it'll just depend on what they do against Washington State.
After the game, Coach, you mentioned something on that interception late. You thought maybe there was something to the other side, and Polisek did too. Did you get a chance to look at that at all?
Yeah, I think Easton probably should have gone to the tight end side, and he didn't, and he's got the keys out there, and maybe he should have gone to the tight end side when he threw the touchdown to RJ, but he made the play. So we're not going to question what that kid's done. He's the one that sees everything, and he's going to learn from the mistake. But Easton made some plays that enabled us to win the football game without question.